Hi, in this demo, you will see how to send data from the integration suite to SAP Signavio to use them in a process mining project. So from raw data from the source to SAP Signavio, and there create a process data pipeline to make the raw data usable for a mining project.
So today we will be pushing data from the integration suite to Signavio. And before we can start modeling the iFlow, we first need to create an integration package. So let's click on Design, Integrations and APIs, and let's create our integration package. Give it a name and a short description. And then save it. And in the Artifacts tab, you can then add your integration flow. By clicking into it, we jump directly into the iFlow. And basically every integration flow has a sender and a receiver. However, instead of being initiated by an external sender, this flow is started by a timer. So we can delete the sender here and search for the timer. But this is depending on your requirements. Other triggers are also possible, such as an HTTPS endpoint or a JDBC connection for example, direct database access. And as I said, this is really depending on your use case. In the next step, we will set our payload. And for this, we need a content modifier. In this step, the message body is filled with some sample data in a CSW format, which is made available for further processing in the flow. So let's click in the message body and enter the sample data. And the data structure directly follows the requirements of the Signavio API. And this step lays the whole foundation for further processing. In the next step, we adjust data format, and to do this, so to adjust the data format, we use a Groovy script. The Signavio API expects data in a specific format, the so-called multipart format. The conversion to this format is done using the Groovy script, which package the CSW data accordingly and ensures that the request is technically structured correctly. So let's enter our Groovy script. Click on apply, and then you can close it. And before the data can then be sent, an authorization token needs to be added. And this token is generated in Signavio Process Intelligence by creating a new connection of the type ingestion API. And the ingestion API is the dedicated input channel of Signavio Process Intelligence for external systems. It accepts process data from external sources and provides both a token for authentication and a URL as a target endpoint. So let's jump into Signavio. Here we are at Signavio Process Collaboration Hub. And let's jump into Process Intelligence. under data and integration. Under data and integration, you can find the connections. By click on create, you can set a new connection. Let's call it demo integration suite and search for the ingestion API. And if you then click on create, you will get the API endpoint and the token. And for the authorization part here, we need this token. So we can just click on copy it, go back to our integration suite, create a content modifier. In which we set our authorization. So in this step, the token is set as the authorization header. So here we click on add authorization and enter here our token. And we need this so that Signavio accepts the incoming request as authorized. Let's move it a bit so that we have more space. So in the next and final step, we send data and verify the execution. And the fully constructed authorization request will be sent via an HTTP post call to the Signavio endpoint. So we need our request reply call here. Let's call it call ingestion API. Let's search for the HTTP. Here we go. In the connection, the URL we will get, as I said, from the connection we created in Signavio Process Intelligence. So here's the endpoint, which we can copy now. Enter as an address here. Here's our post method. We don't have authentication here. And our request header is authorization. Let's deploy it. So, and after the integration flow has then been deployed, its successfully execution can be verified here in the monitoring section, integrations and APIs, all artifacts. Here you can see the iFlow is messaging is completed successfully. And here you can also see this, as I said, the status, so message processing completed successfully, and any error message, any error messages there provide at a glance confirmation of the technical data transfer. So if there was an error in the deployment or something else, you can also see it there, but our deployment was successful. And then you can also confirm that the data received in Signavio. So we can go right back to Signavio. So if the run was successful, you can verify that the data has arrived in Signavio Process Intelligence as well. The transmitted data and associated logs can be viewed and checked under source data. So you can also check if the run was successful in Signavio. Therefore, we will jump right back to Signavio Process Intelligence. and the transmitted data and associated logs can be viewed in source data, which is also under data integration. So let's click on source data. Then on your demo integration suite, and then you can click on the logs. And this is basically it.
Okay, now we want to consume the raw data which are coming via the integration suite to SAP Signavio. And we start exactly here where Melissa finished. And for that, first thing is to build a process data pipeline. To take the raw data and from that build a functional, case-based, can also be object-based, of course, process data pipeline. The first step is done. Now we create the business objects. And don't forget to enable the business object, otherwise it does not work. Now we test the data pipeline if it's working. Okay, it worked. And as you can see here, one case was loaded. Our demo data in this case is not a lot. It's only one case. But here in this demo, it's more about the integration between Integration Suite and Signavio. Not the focus is not on the case itself. So now I can consume this data and use it for a dashboard. So here I create with text to widget, a first widget part of a dashboard. And build a process data pipeline, so to make the raw data consumable to create dashboards at the end. That's it from our side. Have fun developing and see you next time. Bye.